Lands in the mid lane.
Good wind wall to make sure the paddle star cannot connect.
Historically, pastry time. Oh, actually, hold that thought.
It's held.
Okay, go. Historically, Oceania struggled in the jungle and top lane position. That's why the Korean imports were so celebrated when they came over to Bombers. Unfortunately, what this MSI play-ins has proved that still there is a journey to go in those two roles. Mimic and Volcan way too inconsistent. And Bukax, once again, what would have been for this Israel Gaming lineup if he had started in this form at the start of the play-in tournament?
Well, there's actually maybe Oddie going to be the pick here. Galio riding in to try and save his teammate, but it might be a double kill. There's the last breath. Going to find both off the Fate's call. Ryoma finally gets on the scoreboard.
And once again, fighting in bottom lane against mid lane priority is a cardinal sin of League of Legends. You cannot do it, even if you have tempo cheats like the Galio ultimate. Issaris Gaming look for the play, but they are punished hard by the Bombers lineup.
Well, again, we'll look back towards the top lane and see if Bugax can get it done, because that Gunblade's now finished, and Mimic knows he's on the menu. Lightning rushing away there. I mean, at this point, you can't really approach this Akali in top lane.
Yeah, you certainly can't. However, with Dragon down, next is going to be an Ocean. It would be nice to pick up. However, rotation to the top lane might be on the cards. And you can just see Oddie, no top lane priority, has struggled with bottom lane priority all game. Going for a Scuttle Crab, gets picked up very easily. Slow tries to save his support, his jungler, but unable to do so. Just adds himself to the cannon fodder. Once again, it's just disappointing to see from Oddie, someone that, you know, one of the veterans of this team that we were hoping would step up in this final game for Issaris Gaming, not able to do so.
Well, still the rest of the map kind of plays out. Luden's done now for Seiya. Ryoma returning back. Does need to spend whatever mountain of gold he's currently sitting on. 26, almost 2,700. 2 Doran's Blades and some Zerka Greaves. Not going to get it done after Seiya's finished that shot, but looks like Ryoma will take the back. Now as Oddie perhaps has found Volcan, tags him, does not follow.
Bugax looking for that kill as well. I feel like if you're Volcan, top lane, no-go zone right now. If you don't bring Rogue with you, you just don't go there at all. That means that Oddie, on the back end of Ryoma's recall as well, should be able to set his team up with a nice Rift Herald against the flow of play. But once again, it feels like Issaris Gaming, even though they're in a 1,000 gold deficit, have firm control of this top side of the map.
Certainly do. And that pressure from the Akali will mean that Rift Herald is started by Oddie and looks to be completed, as neither Mimic nor Volcan can really get in the area. In fact, Jarvan finishes his recall. Ryoma gets exhausted. Seiya picked one up off the floor, but doesn't last for too much longer. And now with that static shiv, a lot more threat now, and some nice wave clear to try and match the Zoe a little bit.
Certainly the case. However, I feel like that is where the Rift Herald really does come up trumps, because even though turret plating is falling in the next 30 seconds, the ability to open up that mid lane, you know, potentially force Ryoma to go side lane a little bit earlier than he would like to, could come up trumps here. See, mid lane.
Looking for a knockup, but doesn't land it yet. A tornado is nice. Last breath, though, does not go through. Might have been out of range there. Seiya does go down, still able to finish off the kill. And now Oddie going to be the next one as well. Void Rush is there, but he can't finish off the last breath as the execute comes out. But Balkan's still going to move forward, try and grab the kill. Oddie juking back and forth as he can. It's red buff chase. As Oddie just tunnels away to safety, Balkan cannot connect with the flag and drag, not in range. So just a 1-for-1 as both mid laners die.
Yeah, and the reason he didn't want to flag and drag in their pastry time is because the W from Rek'Sai is going to win that interaction. There would be a knock up into a chomp, probably would fall down slow, very low in this bottom lane. Bombers, however, do back away from the turret. You can just see 1-for-1 trades. Very close game at this stage.
Blade of the Ruined King freshly finished for FBI.
Look at, once again, Volcan just on the map, constantly looking for dives. I feel like this bottom side of the river has been in firm control of the Bombers for the last few games. They haven't necessarily been able to convert it into goodness. But this time around, looks like first turret is going to fall. Ocean Dragon up and available should be the next objective.
We'll see what happens in topside, actually, as Mimic finds Oddie, but burns the ulti, not able to get a kill. So, again, back to Bugax here for the pressure, and the Rift Herald channel will mean that it will be a trade, as the bottom outer turret does give Bombers that first brick gold, but shouldn't be too much more needed to finish off this turret in top lane. As Mimic maybe just hogging for some experience. I think maybe made a mistake. Bugax does find the first stun. PE finds the smoke from the Gunblade. Rogue there. Looking to play coverage, but he still finds the snipe. The Shuriken needs a little bit more. Rogue trying to block it up, but the flash Q sails it once again.
And the 1v2 outplay this time for Bugax just goes for the turret guide anyway. Ignores Rogue. They get the turret, they get the kill, and single-handedly nearly keeping his team in this game.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Bomber's still up in gold, but Bugax is making it look Like that doesn't matter. Ryoma clears out the rest of these creeps. And Akali now finish up that Merc Treads and an needlessly large rod. Out for blood here. As looks like will be found out at the break. Volkan does get the dragon. Finds the last breath knock up and slow. He just can't do it.
You hate to see it now. Ryoma looking for Angelus.
Going back in, Winwall on Mutra available. The Buster Shot's good and no knockups found there. So Wrangler's going to look for the resets, but the shield is popped. And now the resets come out. Ryoma must flash away and does so.
Really nice play from the AD carry of Isurus Gaming. Happy to take the 1v2. Already has the Infinity Edge there. Slow was so close. He's millimeters away from picking up that kill and the dragon. But really nice rotation down from Ryoma. Let's take another look at the 1v2 outplay, however. Mimic, as you said, just trying to leech EXP, trying to get Q. Thought Rogue was going to be in range, but this is the fun thing about Akali. In 1v2 situations, when people rely on skill shots to be able to tie you up, she's able to have so much agency in the outplay and does so right there. Now Volkan thinks against the top side play, can sneak himself a dragon. We'll get it with 31 health left and live to tell the tale, but not sure that was the smartest play.
Also curious to see Winwall used there by Ryoma. I think he did it just to cancel an animation, but he really would have wanted it here, trying to 1v1 the Triss.
Yeah, I mean, Triss just jumping on people, also gets a flash out of Ryoma. Really nicely played by Angelus, playing on the edge of what is dangerous, but what is accomplishable on this Tristana right now.
So you're getting tagged, FBI out for blood, but does not follow through. Saya, though, does eat a pretty big chunk of damage, as looks like Bombers might be moving their lanes around. Ryoma has finally been promoted to the side lane. I don't know if it's a promotion for Yasuo.
Yeah, now going to be building up on the New Wits End. Really nice item here, especially given the fact that both of the side lanes are AP users.
Mimic, though, in some trouble this time, though. It's not the Akali, it's Angelus that's up there to the top lane and making a pretty good go with that 1v1, actually forcing Mimic to ulti. Yeah,
the trade of the ultimate for the Tristana rocket jump is certainly in Tristana's favor there, and the fact that this Tristana is able to go toe-to-toe with the Kennen is a really bad news story for the Bombers. He is currently 60 CS down. On the flip side, you have to say that Angelus struggling into FBI. Does have the 3 kills, however, is also, you know, in a 55 CS deficit. And once again, the map just split between these two teams. The dam of top lane certainly broken, but it looks like FBI and Rogue have done their job one more time.
FBI now in mid lane looking for slow, gets a big chunk of damage down. That
teleport bottom lane, however.
Committed. Ryoma down here, Oddie is there. Mimic actually trying to make a play cross-map this time around. His own lane wasn't so fun, but Bugak's going to try and get out of there. Good save there on the Shuriken. Asaya now the next target, FBI in, finds the stun, that's going to be a kill. Galio roaming in, oh, good attempt from Rogue, but still not quite able to grab the knockup. Still might be there, as Slow going to get rendered to death. FBI still going to chase and hop around, and that's 2 kills over the Bombers.
And time again, Slow trying to save teammates, however, Oddie in trouble now.
Make it 3, knockup lands, there's the last breath, and that's just so easy for Ryoma. Oh, not that easy, maybe. As Oddie still trying to dance away, tunnels to safety. Maybe out of there, running in towards his AD carry. Mimic, they're also going to get jumped on as Oddie still getting chased through. Mimic looking to get 1v1. Ramjas is able to land it, and that's actually Oddie out as well. ISG find their way out.
Maybe?
All right, never mind. There's 2 members of Bombers here. Ramjas going to fight his way out valiantly, but still a shutdown instead. Gifted over to FBI. No teammates left to run to.
Cue the Yakety Sax pastry time. A little bit of Fiesta on the cards there. Fight in the mid lane, spills over to top lane jungle as well. The AD carry of Isurus Gaming gets some style points for a solo kill on a solo laner. But now mid lane turret will come under fire.
Yeah, it looks like the objective still name of the game here is FBI and Rogue trying to take down this structure and open up a lead in that area. Bomber still looking at almost 3,000 gold ahead, but yeah, let's watch this again.
Yeah, an outright face check generally is a bad idea, especially if you're playing a squishy mage support. And, you know, I tried to mention it during the replay, but I feel so bad for Slow. Time and time again, he's trying to save people in the incorrect position, you know, punish for his teammates' poor decision-making. And this looked like it was a free kill, Pastry. I was with you know, taking turret shots left, right, and center. You bring the Yasuo into range, but unfortunately, high, wide, and not very handsome was that Steel Tempest from the Yasuo. Very nice flash and escape from Oddie. And we save Mimic the embarrassment of watching him get killed solo by a Tristana.
Yeah, only 3 deaths. Ignore the one in the middle there that looks like a 4. Mimic, though, certainly having a rough game. Gunblade is done, but just kind of taking whatever scraps are left under his turret at this point.
They're checking in with the items, you know. The Bombers Mid laner and AD carry are in such powerful positions right now. It's going to be 2.5 items for FBI, 2 completed items for this man.
This will be fun. Ryoma with the wits end now finished, looking to try and get the solo kill of his own onto Bugax, the solo kill master this go around. Will force to be used the flip and both charges of the ulti to get out safely. But Ryoma using that ignite, certainly showing that 1v1 he might have the edge right now.
And good patience shown from Ryoma. You could see that Rogue actually mid lane.
Looking again, slow, getting constantly picked on here by FBI. Orangelis and Oddie able to clear some of that out. FBI is forced to burn the cleanse due to a bubble that was thrown out there by Seiya. Ryoma also getting a ton of work done. Actually going for the tower dive here onto Bugax. Oh, misses that Q. Wind wall's nice, but I think that's going to be it. Q flashes, looks for it there, but there's the flash Q. Ryoma looking for the outplay, and he finds it!
And now Oddie down here.
Can't outplay this. Yeah, that's goodbye. Oddie able to get the kill there with the Foydra.
And just as I'm complimenting his patience, the solo laner for the Bombers goes for the 1v1 turret dive. He knew that Oddie was pushing into that bottom lane turret dive, man.
Oh, that knockup landed there for Rogue. Mimic now going to find the ulti. Chain stuns are good. And Mimic finally finds something, able to get the snipe. Fates call out there for FBI as Rogue goes intentionally too deep. And the tower, maybe the most important objective as Bombers finally take down another structure.
And I feel like the tempo of this game really has started to accelerate. You can see Bombers willing to turret dive now, playing with some confidence. 4,000 gold in the lead. They're going to pick themselves up the third dragon, knocking down a couple of outer turrets as well. The transition into mid does seem very easy right now for Ryoma. Let's take another look at the 1v1. You can see already that members of Isurus Gaming are heading down in that direction. You have the Galio, you have the Rek'Sai. That's why this was such a dangerous play. If only Bugax was a little bit more patient, I feel like the cleanup crew would have been there even without the trade, but still, the Prey Seeker finds its mark. Oddie cleans it up. A lot of style points for a 1v1 kill on an international stage, though.
Yeah, again, Bombers and the Isurus, actually, both these teams kind of continue to leave on a high note, and they've been highlights all game long. We've at 21 kills in 22 minutes, which is a pace I'm happy with. But it does feel like the Yasuo hyphiness meter is causing the rest of the Bombers to rise up with Ryoma as he starts to gain traction in the side lane.
And interested to see the fact that Ryoma, who is level 15 right now, 2 levels over his opponent, is still in bottom lane. You know, without the teleport available, with Baron a very real objective, thought they would like to play him around the top side of the map. There is also a tier 1 turret for him to still take. You can see Mimic, who is quite far behind at this stage, 2 levels down on his lane opponent, can't threaten that. At the same time, Isurus Gaming need to play around that man on your screen. I feel like Warangelis on one more item, if he gets himself a rapid fire cannon, becomes a big team fight threat against this Bombers lineup. Has to deal with a couple of walls, unfortunately, but with that range and all of the peel that he has, should be quite safe in these fights.
Good rotation here, though, from Isurus, looking to equalize the structures. They do take down the mid-outer turret. And actually, Bugax getting work done there on the bottom outer might be the first of 3 here for Isurus. Rogue, we're going to try and make the play, but the Fate's Call does not land. That's just going to be tower over to Isurus as they take 2 in a few short seconds.
Yeah, really nicely done from Isurus Gaming. Fought for mid lane priority. Now chasing Bombers out of there as well.
Mimic, though, may be able to get the turret, so in the extended trade, we actually might even things back up as far as towers go. Bombers do need to get out safely, but they'll move FBI in towards the top half, so this outer turret will take some damage, although Oddie is here, and Mimic does not have teammates around right now.
Do have 2 waiting in the wing, however.
Yeah, Oddie going to go for it. That may be his demise. Going to get taken down. FBI unstoppable as Oddie took that bait real quickly.
An interesting play there from the jungler of Isurus Gaming. Might mean that the Baron goes over to the Bombers.
Well, they are going to start it. They've got the Callista. They've got Volcan healthy and ready with the smite. Blue Trinket, we'll see, it has been started, but can they stop it is the question. Here comes Bugax.
No cannon ultimate. This is a fight.
Oh, Slow with a good, massive taunt. But they are going to try and find their way out. First, Volcan's taken down Slow. The Baron looks to go over to the Bombers as the smite will be completed. And now Bugax going to get chased down as the Bombers find such a great fight.
And now they'll be able to rotate into the top lane turret. They'll finally knock down the last remaining outer structure. 1-3-1 on the cards, and FBI is massive. 5-1 and 5. The bottom lane of the Bombers, again, having a very good performance.
700 gold on his head if Isurus can kill him. The FBI been elusive and certainly aggressive all tournament long, having yet another strong game.
And exciting if you are an Oceanic fan to see the class of the Australian players finally starting to show on the international stage. A little bit of a dead rubber, as we mentioned. But now it becomes difficult for Isurus Gaming to be able to perform in this game. Once again, a 1-3-1 with Baron buff is hard to withstand. It looked like a great start to the fight. However, the Braum ultimate perfectly timed to get Ryoma in one more. They pick up the Baron. It was quite low. I think it was actually an auto attack securing it there from the Jarvan. But no harm, no foul. They pick up a couple of kills and are able to secure the objective.
And as far as that 1-3-1 goes, Ryoma has now finished his Infinity Edge. So that side lane going to be even better. Bombers look to push down a few more turrets. It's even right now, but they're looking to change that with his Baron as the gold, and hopefully for them the objectives tick up as well. Isurus, though, certainly not interested in giving things away for free.
Yeah, an indecision there from the Bombers. They group as 5 in the mid lane, however, can't really affect the siege. Windwall as well as Unbreakable are really powerful tools in these siege scenarios, so maybe would have been a good idea to stay grouped as 5. Now, however, Poke can start to register, and Isurus Gaming trying to fight back here in the mid lane.
Bombers again back towards the mid lane, looking to try and knock down the tower. Also, Ryoma working on his 1v1. Looks like this turret will fall here in mid, as that's 5 actually, as the minions in bot lane managed to finish that off with imagine some help from Baron.
Yeah, Mimic needs to go get that top lane as well. Looks like it's slowly pushing against it. Gives a window for Oddie.
1v2 time, perhaps TP in there. Last pass going to land. He goes in, back onto Oddie. Ryoma going to make it good. Dives back in, but that stun is massive. Mimic though makes it into the fight to get himself a kill, but he will die on the back end of it. Volkan dives in, tries to take Bugax, but he can't grab it as ISG able to answer back resoundingly.
And a little bit too hypey there from the Bombers. They continue though.
So is that play. Oh, Fate's call was there. Always forget it as Bro goes in, looks to lock up the Zoe. Saya though with a nice stopwatch. Might protect him as Wrangler still looking to go back in. FBI with a cleanse, trying to make the highlight play, but he gets shut down. The 1,000 gold gifted over to the AD, and that's disastrous for the Bombers.
And Isurus Gaming slam their door shut. That's against the Baron. They wipe out the members of the Bombers. They only lose 2 for their troubles. Back within 4,000 gold will grab themselves the Dragon on the exit as well. Pastry time. Just look like greedy play. Look like undisciplined. You know, you see Mimic going top. He wants to take the last outer turret. Ryoma again looks for the outplay. Not able to get it. Great knock up onto Mimic. Negates a lot of his effectiveness. Just chain CC by slow. And you can see FBI and Rogue, the 2 strongest member of the Bombers lineup, are just not there for the whole team. And then they say, you know what? All the cooldowns are gone. Maybe we can impact some change. But the Isurus Gaming members more than equal to this task. Punish the confidence, punish the arrogance of the Bombers to go for a 2v4 dive. And give away some massive bounties in the process.
Yeah, I said he had 700 gold in his head. He had 1,000 when he died. So went to the worst possible player it could have, as well as Oranglis finds himself now at 3.5 items, matching Kalista very quickly and on a very different champion when the late game rolls around.
And as I mentioned, it's going to be difficult to get onto the Tristana. You've got yourself a Buster Shot to get rid of either a Yasuo or the Cannon. You know, with Summoner spells available, very hard to tie up the Rocket Jump as well as the Flash and the Heal. If the QSS comes out anytime soon, Pastry time, I think it should have been there instead of that Vamp Scepter impact. It's going to be difficult.
FBI fighting Oranglis, but there's Rogue to tip the balance. FBI, though, did try some standing DPS and I think failed that test.
Yeah, I think it was a kind of pass mark for now. It does have the GA and was very, very confident in going toe-to-toe. Had to look for some support for his teammates after the Hail of Blades fallen off, but at least for the 3 auto attack, look competitive.
That's true. Also, forgot about the GA, so maybe just fancying himself in any sort of Mortal Kombat situation. So trying to clean out these minions in the top side as Bombers kind of in the position they wanted to be, but they don't have Baron anymore.
Yeah, I would really like to just see the Bombers slow down and, you know, regain control over the bottom lane, allow the split push to set up, get some deep wards top, look for the last outer turret and a clean Baron set up in a minute's time. This game was tracking for, you know, a promising end to the tournament for the Oceanic representative. It's got very sloppy. At the same time for Isurus Gaming, I think, you know, you just wait for the Bloodthirster to come through and you roll the dice on one more team fight. You hope that the backline threat, the Bugax, who's, you know, got himself the 3 items and a death cap at this stage of the game, is enough to deter either Ryoma or FBI from the backline.
Mimic is debate this go around there. Shroud already committed. Here's Ryoma, but Bugax still invisible. Oh! Gets the kill. Ryoma needs to keep going, but I think he might be out. The Ignite is going to be close. He does die to Ryoma, who's actually getting a last breath onto slow. Saya is late as long as Oddie and Oranglis are also in pursuit, but he's going to try and get the kill, and he will pay for that greed.
And time again, the Bombers are looking for this side lane attack, and it is not working. Isurus Gaming equal to the task of being able to rotate down there. Now, FBI and Rogue also chase off this mid lane wave. The fortitude of this team to continue. You can see that this is Mimic going in, gets the stun down, and that should have been Azonya's Hourglass. You knew that he had to be in the Shroud. Instead, the mini stun registering will pick up the kill during that. It looks like Ryoma could have just dashed away here. But he wanted to go for the 1v1 one more time, pastry time. I feel like this is starting to become very troublesome for the mid laner of the Bombers. And it's Warangelis again, who is the main recipient of the Bombers' greed.
Yeah, so, you know, it infects us all sometimes spawn. You get excited, you start to pick up items and try and make a montage instead of win the game.
Yeah, and now defend the 4-item Tristana. Legitimate win condition. You know, you have to be very worried if you start up a Baron buff and the Tristana is able to just sit at max range, now level 15, and takes pop shots at you with all of that damage. Like, one more defensive item coming out, whether it is going to be something like the Merc Scimitar or the GA, I feel like nearly tips this game over the edge to where it's now Isurus Gaming favored.
And again, remember, Bomber's still up about 3,000-4,000 gold. Still have plenty of map control to try and play with, but running out of time here and running out of answers, it feels like. I do agree that in general, teams probably need to just slow things down a bit more, but certainly the game has become unhinged somewhat as Bombers just straight to Baron. Going to start it off and try and force some sort of engagement.
But they have the poke of Zoe right now, the bubbles through the wall. And once again, Tristana going to be hard to get onto.
Wind wall down. Bombers going to look for the re-engage. They find the last breath, but only onto Slow. They're going to look to try and take down the AD. They need to get a carry. They will get Slow, but again, untouched here for Wranglers. The buster shot of the absolute gods prevents Ryoma from going back in. And Bugak's now going to find that snipe. Volkan Low going to get shot down, and now will resurrect the next bubble lands. FBI now the target, and this is going to be it for Isurus. They're going to win the fight resoundingly as FBI GAs to only die. Rogue lives, but he's the lucky one this time around.
Godlike positioning from Warangelis, maybe just won the game for Isurus Gaming. Able to flash over that wall, 30-second death timers, they might have just done it.
They're going to make a run for it at the very least. 32.5 minutes or just over as Isurus slam down this mid-inhibitor tower. They'll take the inhib with it. And looks like the pings are onto the Nexus.
Certainly is Pastry, and with the Tristana and only a Braum standing in their way, Mimic up in 10 seconds, but it's not going to be enough.
Rogue locked up again. Ranchus just going to give a beating to the turret, and looks like Rogue just can't really do it himself. He falls asleep. Bad time for a nap there, buddy. Is Isurus still going to move forward? Wranglers, Rocket jumps in. Mimic is doing everything he can, but the Tristana will not be stopped. Ryoma going to try and salvage the last few bits of this fight. Volkan looking in, but the Nexus falls down, and Isurus Gaming take a bow as they take down the Bombers to finish off their MSI.
And such a good team fight out of Isurus Gaming to bring back this game from the brink. Holding on in the bottom lane, confirming the game with the team fight around Baron. And Warangelis at 80 carry standing tall.
That was quite the ending as the teams will shake hands. You know, if these two teams are going to go out and finish off their MSI, at least that was a fun one to finish it on, but oh boy. Between Bugak's Akali and that performance from that Tristana in those team fights, certainly a well-deserved bow there taken by the members from the Latin American League.
And a very fun last game. As you mentioned, solo kills aplenty. Bugak's in the top lane, getting it rolling. Ryoma kind of picking up the torch with FBI, and then really Warangelis bringing it home hard for his team. That was such an impressive positioning in the team fights. Late game Tristana is always such a terror, and playing it on the edge of, you know, this is dangerous, but I'm getting out so much DPS.
And you said it was going to be tough for the Bombers to actually get onto the Trist. Well, they made it as difficult as they could, and they still got out of it.
I mean, they blew like 3 summoner spells in the end. They tried to just hard dive Tristana, but Warangelis, credit to him, was equal to that task.
Well, let's take a look at a replay 28 minutes through. The ace here from Isurus, and really what tied it all together.
Yeah, and you know, I was saying Ryoma playing pretty disciplined, which is a change. Well, he shows a little bit of undisciplined play here to start this one up. Goes in when he doesn't have the team rotating across, and this is what you like about experienced lineups. Call it a throw or whatever you would like, but the ability to catch when you're this far down against a Baron buff is a skill. And you can see FBI and Rogue still pushing forward, but the outplay from people like Warangelis, like Saya, to keep this fight going in Isurus Gaming's favor was very impressive.
Yeah, if that 1,000 gold hadn't gone over to the Tristana and this extra gold that he picks up after the assist from Rogue, maybe it's a bit of a different story in that last team fight with that gold graph. as Wranglers brings it all the way back.
And if you're wondering why we're talking about the Tristana so much, I think that damage graph kind of does tell the tale. To be so far behind, 7,000 gold at about 27 minutes into the game, to bringing it back in 33, such a turnaround in 5 minutes of game time. You know, honorable mention once again to Bugax of Isurus Gaming. Had a terrible start to the tournament, but really by the end of it had warmed up, had shown that he can more than hold his own against these international top lanes.
Yep, had the kill on Ruin, slayed Mimic honestly in that 1v1. Yep. But again, we talked about those teams earlier. The tiebreaker for first place between Fengwu Buffalo and Fenerbahce will be played at the end of the day after the first games in Group B. Whoever wins that game will face off against Team Liquid in the knockout stage. But we do have some ceremony to get to in just a moment. No one is surprised. Our MasterCard player of the game is, of course, Warangelus. And with team fights like that, I have to agree. And
779 damage per minute is such a high scoreline. Getting towards that 6 items on the Tristana, always a very fun way to play the game. And I think that, you know, credit to him, knew exactly how he had to navigate the team fights, knew that they were coming for him, was able to get away time and time again.
And of course, MasterCard is also putting the best fans in esports by shining a spotlight, surprising fans of the day throughout the mid-season invitational with official Riot merch. Today, Bin, Lam, Nyan, and Key earned the title of fans of the day, and MasterCard hooked them up with some Alistar plushies in honor of this year's Conqueror skin.
Yeah, it's a dope skin as well. I really like Alistar skins. Shame that we haven't seen him much in the tournament so far. But certainly we'll have a presence with people like Marta coming up in the main stage.
Maybe too much brawn running around for Alistar, but you never know. Again, lots to play for. I think already we've seen just so much from really just watching one group play. So excited for Group B as they play there. Group A tiebreaker, though, well, we already know about this one. Between Fengwu Buffalo and Fenerbahce will be played in Game 9. But first, let's introduce the teams of Group B. That makes more sense to me. Mega and Detonation Focus Me kick off their MSI after the break. Level 6 not quite there. FBI a little too far forward. There's the flash knockup. Straight in onto FBI, and first blood will be theirs. Galio riding in to try and save his teammate, but it might be a double kill. There's the last breath. Gonna find both off the Fate's call. We're gonna play coverage, but he's still finding the snipe. The Shuriken needs a little bit more. Rogue trying to block it up, but the flash Q seals it once again. The Wrangler still looking to go back in. FBI with a cleanse, trying to make the highlight play, but he gets shut down. The 1,000 gold gifted over to the AD, and this is gonna be it for Isurus. They're gonna win the fight resoundingly as FBI GAs to only die.
Welcome back to MSI 2019. I'm Rivington III, joined by FPI. FBI from the Bombers, thank you so much for joining me. I want to start by looking back at what kind of happened throughout the week. What made it difficult for Bombers to find your wins during this event?
I think initially the hardest thing for us as a team was getting over nerves. I think it was like our first international tournament as a team, and like we have literally a rookie, and I think getting over the nerves was the hardest thing for like some members in our team. And I think despite that fact, I think the team members played really well despite the nerves.
And as you said, this being the first international event, you played very well throughout all the games, win or loss. I have to ask you, do you feel that you've leveled up your play throughout this event?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like getting to verse other international teams is really like an eye-opener for just not as a team, but like as individuals. I think I made a lot of mistakes during this tournament, but I think it's been really eye-opening for me, and I'll work on those problems. Yeah.
Awesome. And looking forward, what steps is the Bombers going to take to be that Oceanic super team in the summer and make it to the world stage?
Yeah, I think it's just back to the drawing board, watching the VODs of the games we lost and seeing the areas that we can improve on. I think the next time Bombers shows up on the international stage, we'll be a lot stronger. I don't think we'll be as nervous, and we'll be a lot more confident in ourselves.
Very cool. I would like to give you one chance to say anything to the fans, anything you want to say.
Yeah. I'd just like to say sorry and for disappointing you guys, but also thank you for supporting us all the way. We'll do our best to represent OS next split, and hope to make you guys proud. Thank you.
FBI, thank you so much again for joining me. Best of luck in the future to the team. And we are now going to be starting off with Group B, so don't go anywhere. More games to come.
หลายคนอาจจะคิดว่าหลังจากที่เวียดนามแยกไปมีลีกของตัวเองลีกของเราน่าจะไม่มีการพัฒนาและสูญเสียความน่าดูไปแต่ในสายตาของผมเราไม่ได้อ่อนไปกว่าทีม PVB เลย
When CI is mentioned, many people will only think about gaming. But this time, it was us, and not them, who came on MSI. It means that we defeated them, that we are the strongest team in our region.
Para o Mundial de 2016, a gente entrou na fase de grupos pelo IWCQ. Dessa maneira, nosso time tem mais experiência do que os outros oponentes.
近年、日本では e スポーツが注目を浴びています。LCL の代表として、去年よりも期待とプレッシャーを感じています。
เราจะไม่ออกมือให้กับใครในการแข่งขันเพลย์จะได้ไม่มีใครมาสบประมาททีมเรา
Today, we will also use our strength to make the whole world remember our name, Vega Squadron from the outside.
Não posso esperar para revelar a nossa verdadeira força no play-in. Assim como no passado, nós vamos garantir o sucesso.
昨年も LCL の代表として世界戦に出場しましたが、今回の MSI では必ずグループステージへ進出できると思っています。
Welcome back to day 2 of the MSI Plains, where we're introducing the teams competing in Group B, starting with Mega representing Southeast Asia and Destination Focus Me from Japan. And I feel especially equipped to kick things off for Group B because I'm flanked by the incomparable Indiana Fuscure Black.
I don't know how I can top that intro, Medic. Thank you so much.
Well, you could have tried. I called you incomparable. You could have definitely given me a little bit of a compliment.
The very tall Medic.
We'll take that. Now, we've seen Group A kind of play off to the expectations of our analysts, with Fongru, Buffalo, and Fenerbahce being at the top. Do you have any expectations coming into Group B?
I mean, like the analysts, I think everyone is split on Group B. I know I have my favorites. I'm personally favoring Mega, and I also think that INTZ will surprise. But right now, this feels like a group where anyone can actually bounce out of it. So I know we called Group A kind of that group of death. It's super stacked. It has your two favorites in the VCS and Turkey competing. But here, it feels like this really could be anyone's group. And I'm really curious on kind of the first two series and what kind of gut check they're going to give us on the strength of these teams.
I think that's the thing about it as well, because we've seen each team excel in their region, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how they compete internationally. Teams like Mega especially, who absolutely dominated their region, you don't actually know how strong that region is coming into this tournament.
I mean, frankly, Mega are kind of the untested giant. So they're the combination of the Bangkok Titans and Ascension. They're just the next continuation of that, the Thai representatives coming out of the LST. And unfortunately, they were just kind of punching down in their entire region. There was virtually no competition for them. They were undefeated on their trip to MSI. And so with the limited tape that you have, it's really hard to gauge how strong this team is. Whereas on Detonation Focus Me, it's a very similar story of like domination when you look at their record, 20-1 in the regular split, but it is completely different in terms of how far that domination was. Every single game, Detonation Focus Me had to fight for that. Constantly their lane phases were under attack, that they were falling down in gold, but they were able to play from behind. So that 20-1 doesn't tell the whole story. I'm really curious to see what type of fight Japan will put on this international stage.
I think there are quite a few untold stories in the group as well. You look at INTZ beating Flamengo in the finals, coming from 2-1 down. You look at Vega Squadron as well. They talked about it in the little roll-in that we had, saying, you know, Gambit is the team everyone thinks about. Albus Nox is the team everyone thinks about. Now Vega have the chance to prove that they are a team from the Commonwealth of Independent States that can really challenge.
Yeah, so if you have like your heavy favorites in Mega and Detonation Focus Me, you then kind of have your surprise upsets in INTZ and Vega Squadron. Both these teams went through the fan favorites within their region, Vega going through Gambit as well as Elements Pro Gaming, and INTZ going through Flamingo to be on the international stage. That said, INTZ were kind of given the benefit of doubt. A lot of analysts thought that they were the second best team in their region. They finally showed it off in their playoff run, their redemption run back to power for Brazil, whereas CIS, Vega Squadron, they still don't have a lot of the community or even the analysts on their side. You know, it's very mixed reaction. People feel that they used a lot of cheese picks, that they abused the meta to kind of get to their side. But I'm like, hey, if you want to play Nico AD, more power to you.
100%. Well, we're going to have a look at INTZ and Vega later on today. But on the blue side for Game 1, it's Mega from the LST. We've got some OGs repping the region like G4, Lloyd, and Rocky, names I'm sure you've heard before. But they are far from the superstars of this squad. In the top lane, it's Rocky. Jungle is Jun, mid is G4, bot is Lloyd, support is Pop, and coach is Big Fafa.
And for me, I'm really looking at their jungler and Jun. He is the newest representation of this team, though.
He definitely is, but you also have to look at, G4 and Lloyd. They are such strong names in sort of the history of League of Legends, in playing tournaments and international cards tournaments as well, and they're returning to the international stage.
I mean, they're the names that everyone's going to grab hold of, and they definitely do their job as carries. Like, if the dominoes are set up for them, they will push them down. G4 can also pop off on some of his signature picks like that Zed, so I think if there is an X factor, it can be someone like G4, but they are really just that stable carry. June is really the guy who sets the pace and can come flying out of the gate for Mega if they want to make a splash here.
Makes a lot of sense. On the opposite side of the risk, it's Detonation Focus Me from Japan. In the top lane is Evi, jungle is Steel, mid is Seros, bot Utapon, support Gang, and their coach Kazu.
So like the fact that we grab hold of G4 and Lloyd, international fans should remember Seros and Utapon, the exact same positions, the two carries, ADC and mid laner there. Seros, known for his utility, pocket picks like the Zillion and the Heimerdinger, which is banned a lot in Japan, and Utapon has been all over Japan. He's played in the top lane, he's played in the jungle, he's played in the ADC position. He is a mainstay for this team since 2013.
Definitely is. Of course, we saw Detonation Focus Me at Worlds last year as well. So a lot of these teams actually in Group B returning to the world stage after being there before. Only Vega haven't represented their region before on the main stage. And the question to me is, how much will that veterancy pay off? Will we see Detonation Focus Me being able to use that little bit more experience to challenge teams like Mega?
I mean, you just heard FBI giving his interview that he felt that the inexperience, the rookiness of his team, the greenness there really impacted their performance on stage. So you're going to have to lean forward and hope that these veterans will be able to kind of calm the waters, get everyone behind them, and show a good performance. For Detonation Focus Me, I'm kind of split. I know that a lot of analysts are saying that Japan keeps finding these incremental advantages. They keep doing a little bit better and a little bit stronger. But with the removal of Rampage, or Rampage falling from glory, and Detonation Focus Me kind of returning to power in the region, it feels like the competition isn't quite the same. I think this is actually a weaker foot for Japan, but I'm really looking for these guys to prove something to me, to show that, hey, we deserve to dominate the region that we did. Yes, it looked like we were challenged in the lane phase every single time, but that just taught us how to play from the back foot, and now that experience will carry over onto an international stage.
And that's what we tend to see. The more international experience these teams get, the more they're able to sort of allay the nerves a little bit, calm those first day nerves, especially when you have long days like today and like a couple of days' time when this group will finish. When you're playing 4 or 5 games in a day, it can become very difficult for you to keep that same level of concentration, that same level of skill that you might play in a one-off.
It's also kind of what tactic do you want to take into this tournament? Are you going to try to really focus in on figuring out who your opponent is, especially when you have so many of them that you probably don't have a lot of experience with, or it would be harder to scout ahead, and really make specific strategies against them? Or do you say, no, I'm just going to have faith, I'm going to play this one close to the chest, I'm just going to prioritize in getting my comfort picks, my style, and give the team maybe whatever they want, but on the day, I'm going to play it better?
Well, let's narrow that down, that discussion of tactics, a little bit more into this first game. We have Mega up against Detonation Focus Me. We've talked a little bit backstage about how these teams tend to play. What's your viewpoint on the sort of stylistic matchup here?
So if I'm favoring Mega as the favorites going into this, I think it does start with their jungler. And so I'm like, okay, if I want to undo Mega, I want to undo their jungler. I want to actually contest June. He's a very pathing-oriented jungler. He's going to look for opportunities. He is going to try to be kind of a gank-heavy, assist his lane, snowball from there, versus Detonation Focus Me, which stylistically are kind of about their team fights. In their finals, they showed the ability to play kind of that 1-3-1 or play the side lanes, and I think a lot of that comes from the experience of Evi, their top laner, who gets a lot of praise on the international stage, Utapon, who formerly was a top laner, so he's very comfortable playing into a side lane, and then Seros is your utility mage in the mid lane, but their jungler Steel is probably one of the weaker junglers in this group, and unfortunately I don't know if he has the firepower to contest June and really hit Mega where they are strong, which drives a lot of their tempo, unless they can kind of insulate him in the meta. Maybe they decide, let's throw him on the Rek'Sai, let's throw him on the Sejuani as kind of like a band-aid to shore up some of these weaknesses so we can get him to that team fight phase and see Detonation Focus Me really find their legs.
And that's where, especially about Steel, where the question about domestic skill and international skill really comes to the fore, in my opinion, because his most played is Xin Zhao.
He's a very carry, like he loves playing things like the Xin Zhao, the Aatrox, the Jarvan, like he likes going in, but the thing is when you actually watch him in the games, he's not really going in. He's power farming a lot, and they sometimes skirmish, but he's not a heavy ganking jungler. He's not really going in. He's power farming a lot, and they sometimes skirmish, but he's not a heavy ganking jungler. He seems to for this group. They should just stomp through.